and welcome to my free workshop, The 5-Step Strategy to Banish Anxiety and Overwhelm in Your Love Life, so you can attract a fulfilling partnership and live a life of purpose. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So this workshop is for you if you are a smart, high-achieving woman who has worked hard most of her life and you have the job, the success, the career. You really have it all except love. And you always find yourself attracted to the unavailable partner because the nice ones seem kind of boring. And you feel burnt out, unfulfilled, and you know you're capable of such a deep love in your romantic life. So this workshop is jam-packed over the next 45 minutes. So I want to make sure that you are totally focused. So here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn my step-by-step game plan to finally get unstuck and unblocked in love and end the cycle of dead-end relationships. And you're going to get some clarity on what you actually want in love and life. You're going to learn the number one reason most highly successful, motivated, and ambitious women struggle in love and what you can do to make sure it doesn't happen to you. And you'll learn how to figure out the real reason you're attracting partners who aren't emotionally available, toxic, or just simply not on your emotional or intellectual level. I'll teach you the 4 main dating blocks that will set you up for frustration, resentment, and hopelessness in your life, and how to tap into your inner confidence you feel in your career so that you can carry that over into your love life. And I'm going to teach you the key to ensuring your love life is only a piece of the pie and how you can balance having a deep relationship, a successful career, and a fulfilling life. You don't have to pick one or the other. And we're going to do that in record time so that you don't have to spend years and years in therapy or reading every How to Get a Guy book in the self-help aisle. Sounds good? So here's my promise to you. You are going to see my step-by-step strategy I take my clients through to reinvigorate their love life. You'll know what it takes to feel confident in your love life, like how you do in your career, and you're going to learn how to create a relationship that is fulfilling and loving without having to be on Tinder 24/7. So does this sound like you? Do you dread getting out of bed every morning because your love life, your job, or even your friends and family leave you exhausted from pleasing or wearing too many masks? Do you lose yourself in relationships or jobs and you don't know who you are outside of work or being in a partnership with someone? And do you feel like you're always doing all the dating things, but you have nothing to show for it? Or maybe you've completely written off your love life and have buried yourself in your job instead. Or do you feel shame that you're still quote unquote single at your age and you hate feeling the pity from, albeit well-meaning, friends or family? And do you give so much in relationships that you feel exhausted and resentful and aren't sure how to recharge yourself or set boundaries or how to attract partners that light you up instead of drain you? And is there an ex that you just can't let go of even though you know he was toxic or just simply not the right person for you? Do you secretly worry that if you don't fix this quickly, that your life will just pass you by and you'll be alone forever? I know that feels a little doomsday-ish, but a lot of times, like in the middle of the night when we wake up, sometimes we have some of those deep, dark fears that come up. So I'm curious to know if this is something that's ever crossed your mind. So here's the real problem for why you haven't found love yet. You haven't made what I call the shifts. Once you make these shifts, you're going to rid yourself of the constant stress and worry about whether or not love is going to happen for you. So you can simply live your life without feeling like something is quote unquote missing. You'll realize you don't have to burn down your life in order to be happy, but you'll have the confidence to do so if that's the next right step for you. And you'll know exactly what you want and need in love so you can more easily attract the right potential partners to you and repel the wrong ones. You'll also have a magnetic energy and feel more connected with everyone around you, including potential partners, because you are energized and inspired by your life. You'll wake up excited about what your day holds because you're living a life of your own, loving yourself, and finally, you're on the path to finding real love. And so all those years of loneliness and frustration you've experienced will finally pay off because you'll feel loved, connected, powerful, no matter your relationship status. Life will have meaning and excitement again. So maybe you're wondering, well, who is this girl? Should I be listening to her? So my name is Veronica Grant, if we've never met, and I am a former campaign staffer on the political track. So I started my career thinking that that was the direction I was going to be moving in my life. I'm highly ambitious, super goal oriented, and I can pretty much achieve anything that I set out to do. And I can definitely knock a to-do list out of the park. No problem at all. But the truth was that lifestyle was leaving me burnt out and really unhappy and disconnected. Disconnected from myself, which created a disconnection in potential partners. And so for many years, I really struggled in attracting emotionally available men, and also men where we complemented each other and it wasn't either too competitive or wasn't taking care of them or wasn't trying to conform myself in order to be palatable or lovable to the other person. And so once I figured all of that out, I knew that I wanted to help other women learn what I learned, because honestly, this stuff just isn't talked about or taught anywhere. So I became a certified women's life and love coach. So my specialty is helping other smart, ambitious women do the inner work to find real love and fulfillment in their life without all the swiping or having to choose between staying single or settling. And one thing that I'm really proud about in my coaching is that I'm not really into what you text or what you don't text or what your profile says or what it doesn't say, because that might be how you get a date or how you get some sex, but that has nothing to do with love. I prefer instead to do the deeper work with my clients, which I'm going to walk you through how to do in this workshop today. I've coached and mentored thousands of women all over the world how to attract healthy and loving relationships that fill them up and find joy and fulfillment in their life. So let's get started with shift number 1. It's not online dating, texting, or men, or women if you're interested in women. It's you. So the first shift is all about taking radical responsibility for your life and where you are in your life and your situation. It is so easy to believe that online dating, texting, or men are the problem, and that if you just met people in real life, or that if men would just be more emotionally available, then everything in your love life would be fixed. But I have found that is almost never the real problem. The woes around texting or online dating or the rules or men are simply symptoms of the real hidden problem. So you could decide to move cities, you could change your dating app, you could change your job, you could color your hair, you could decide to speed date, you can meet people from meetup groups, you can find a new partner, you can lose 20 pounds, whatever it is. But the same themes and patterns will continue to emerge unless you learn how to change within yourself. So until you figure out what patterns and habits led you to where you are now, you're going to continue to repeat those patterns again and again until you finally change them at their root. Like I said, it's easy to blame all of the things, but unless you get to the bottom of the part you've played in creating the problem, then everything else is just going to be temporary quick fixes. And you're just going to get back online. And this time you're going to tell yourself that you're extra serious about setting up your profile. You're going to tell yourself that this time will be different. You're going to convince yourself that you won't ignore red flags next time. And then months later, you're going to find yourself burnt out, jaded, maybe heartbroken, and decide just to dive back into work or back into hanging out with your friends, putting your personal life on the back burner again. How many times have you been in this pattern over and over again? Okay, so when I say get to the root of the problem, I literally mean the root of the problem. So let's take this tree for a moment. And I want you to imagine for a moment that the leaves and the fruits of the tree represents beliefs about yourself, men, women, love, relationships, and the world at large. And the beliefs you have about yourself are going to determine your behaviors. And if some of those beliefs are limiting beliefs, which they are most likely, because we all have limiting beliefs about some areas of our life. And so if you have limiting beliefs in relationships, some of the behaviors that can create are people pleasing, not wanting to rock the boat, not having strong boundaries. Maybe it leads you to being attracted to unavailable partners or the bad guy, or isolating yourself, or needing to get validation or love from others and unable to source that from within. Or perhaps it leads to patterns of numbing out on food, sex, alcohol, overworking, Netflix. Now, this list of behaviors is not the entire list of potential behaviors, but these are some of the common behaviors I've seen among clients after many years of working with them. So the question then becomes, how do the leaves become the leaves that they are? How do the beliefs become the beliefs that you have? Well, in order to answer that question, we really have to go back into your childhood and imagine that, the roots of the tree, they are certain kinds of seeds and certain kinds of fertilizers and certain kinds of gardening, and that eventually grows into the trunk and the branches, and that creates the leaves, right? And it's kind of the same thing when it comes to shifting the behaviors that you have in your own love life. You have to look back at your own childhood and understand, what are the beliefs that you were taught or either that you created from seeing what you saw that has become limiting beliefs and you're still holding on to as if they were true, and it's creating some not so great situations. So let me give you a quick example. Let's say that your parents had a temper and you didn't want to set them off because maybe they would yell at you or they would be really angry. Maybe they would even hit you. And so you did everything that you could to not rock the boat. You just felt like your childhood was walking on eggshells. And so you learned some patterns of people pleasing. You learned patterns of not asking for what you want or not showing your emotions, because any of these things could have potentially set off mom or dad and could have set off that temper. And that's fine that you did that as a child because you needed to do that in order to survive, right? Like a 5-year-old can't just decide, all right, I'm just not going to deal with this anymore and move out, right? Like, no, you kind of have to live with your parents. The problem is when that behavior stays with you throughout your entire life, and now it's 30, 40, maybe even 50 or 60 years later, and you're still living as if you were that 5-year-old living with mom and dad, not wanting to rock the boat. And so you get into romantic relationships and you don't want to ask for what you want or what you need. You don't want to share your true emotions because it might rock the boat. They might get mad at you. And so you don't really get your needs met. You feel resentful, you feel drained, and you're not feeling really fulfilled in your love life. And there's also probably a really good chance that you're attracting people in your life who are similar archetypes to either your mom or dad, because that's what feels safe and comfortable. So I want to tell you a story about my client, Sarah. So when Sarah came to me, she learned people pleasing was just her way of getting loved. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of her childhood because obviously that's her life and it's personal. But she had to do a lot of the taking care of and not wanting to rock the boat too much because sometimes things were a little bit unpredictable or unstable growing up. And so she just learned that if she could just take care of everyone, then there was more likely to be order and there was more likely to be affection and love. And she just learned, okay, if I take care of everything, if I take care of everyone around me, if I just please everyone and make everyone happy, then I'm going to feel loved. And that created a belief of if they need me, they won't leave me. Now, she needed to have some sort of people pleasing, not wanting to rock the boat attitude when she was growing up, because again, that's what she needed to do to survive. So you only have so many options when you're a kid living at your parents' house. But that belief came with her throughout her adulthood. And what she ended up doing is she just kept attracting guys after guys that she ultimately had to take care of. And for a while, this feels good, or at least at the beginning, it feels good because it's getting that initial void filled. But after a while, it just feels draining because she's not getting that energy back. She's not getting that love back. So we had to do a lot of inner child work to understand where these beliefs and habits came from so that she could begin to heal and shift the patterns and in turn shift her habits. And while we were working together, I'm so thrilled to share that she met an amazing man and eventually married him. And a really big catalyst in her being able to have the relationship that she has today is through doing inner child work, where she was able to really let go of these deep-rooted patterns that was kind of creating the crappy dating symptoms that she initially came to me for. So the second shift that my clients make in order to find real love are clearing the 4 love blocks. So there are 4 major love blocks that every high achieving woman looking for love can slip into without even knowing it. When you date from one of these blocks, you're going to set yourself up for failure and frustration in your love life. And you're going to feel burned out, probably resentful, overwhelmed, and eventually you might just even want to give up on finding love. So when you learn how to clear these 4 major blocks, your love life will change. Now, these love blocks aren't going to seem like blocks at first, but when left unchecked, they are unhealthy, unsustainable, and ultimately leave you feeling anxious and alone. So here are the 4 love blocks, and you may not have all 4 of these. Maybe 1 really resonates, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe a little bit of all 4, and it might just depend on where you are in your life or in a relationship. So the pleaser is pretty self-explanatory what it sounds like. You get love, you get validation from pleasing others. Now, that is not the same thing as being a kind, genuine person. When you're more in the pleaser energy, you're more in an energy of wanting to take care of people because it makes you feel a certain way. Or if you help people or make them happy, then ultimately you hope that they'll then in turn love you and make you happy. So there's some sort of catch to the actions that you do when you're coming from the pleaser energy, which is very different than just simply being a kind, genuine person, because I already know you're a kind, genuine person, right? Now, the next energy is the poor me energy. And this is the energy around, this sucks. Everything happens to me. Why can't I just find love? Everyone else is able to find love but me. And it might not seem at first like that's a big problem, but it actually is, because in a lot of ways, like attracts like. And if that's the energy in which you are approaching dating from, then that's just not super attractive. And a lot of people, I would say most people, or at least most people that you would probably want to be with over the long term, aren't really going to be attracted to that kind of energy. Now, it's not about sticking your head in the sand and ignoring some of the difficult feelings that you might be feeling, right? You might be feeling sad. You might be feeling heartbroken. That is all allowed. And it's part of the full spectrum of being a human and feeling all of the human emotions. That's different than the poor me. The poor me is just, poor me, woe is me. I'm a victim of my own life, and nothing ever works out for me, and everything just sucks, right? So you can see how that can definitely block you from love. Now, the saboteur is someone who they get going, things seem good, and then, whoa, it's too much, it's too scary, and then you do something to sabotage it. So maybe you meet someone who seems really nice, and you both are really interested in each other, and maybe you create some plans to see each other, and it just feels a little too good. It feels almost too good. You're a little suspicious. What's the catch? Is he really just wanting to get into your pants or whatever it is? You just doubt it. You don't trust the person, you don't trust the situation, and you either just ghost the other person or just say something that you know is going to make the other person want to quote unquote dump you or leave you, so that you can kind of prove, putting that in air quotes, to yourself what you thought was going to happen actually did. Not hard to see how that can obviously block you from love. And the final love block is the future tripper. And this is the one I personally most related to when I was dating. And the future tripper always has their head in the future. Now, this one is probably the most common. The two most common are probably the future tripper and the pleaser. But on some level, you might be able to, again, identify with all 4 or 2 or 3 of them. So the future tripper has a really hard time staying present. And they're constantly worried about, well, does this person like me? Can I see a future with them? And you're wanting to know if this person is quote unquote marriage material by the 2nd or 3rd date before you've even really given yourself a chance to get to know the other person, and before you've given them a chance to get to know you. And if you've ever said something along the lines of, look, it's not that I want to get married today, but I just want to know if you would be interested or could see you marrying me one day, or if I could see this person as my partner one day. And the thing is that you just don't know yet. Sometimes you have to stay present to see if there is potential, to see if there is a connection. And that's the very problem, because the more that your head is tripping out in the future around whether or not there's potential here, or whether or not the other person is into you, or whether or not you know the next date is going to happen, or when they're going to text you back, or whatever it is, the more your head hangs out there, the less you're in your body. The less you're in your body, the less present you are. The less present you are, it's going to be so hard to really see if there's that connection. And the thing that you want to know more than anything is to see if there's a connection. So you can kind of see how you can begin to loop here. So the more you can actually stop the future tripping, stay present, the more you're going to know, and the quicker you're going to know whether or not someone is a no-go or a go. So these 4 love blocks are ways that we as women can unconsciously give our power away to other people or things, and it can leave us ending up bitter or burnt out or just simply hopeless in love. And this is what keeps successful women from a flourishing love life and connecting with potential partners. So why do these patterns happen? Well, again, we have to bring up the tree analogy. These patterns didn't just happen out of midair. You didn't pull them out of your butt, right? Like, you grew them over many, many years, starting from childhood, but certainly your adult life might have influenced some of these blocks. So like I said, these dating blocks root back to your inner child wounds, but they certainly get exacerbated by heartbreaks or frustration, the media, TV, societal expectations, all of those things. And again, you learned that you needed to be this way in order to get ahead in your career or your life, or even just to survive as a kid. Remember my example about the people pleasing and not wanting to rock the boat. The problem is these patterns don't pan out well in your love life. So you must unlearn the habits and beliefs that created these patterns in the first place. And once you do, you'll feel more confident and energized across the board in your love life and personal life for sure, but also your professional life. Even if you think professional life is all good now, I promise once you begin to do this work to clear these blocks, you're going to be amazed at how much further it takes you in your professional life. So I want to share with you my client, Sherry. So Sherry came to me and she had given up on this area of her life. She had been married twice. And so she had some poor me / saboteur energy, probably more of the poor me energy, like, oh, I'm really old. I've been divorced twice. Like, this just isn't going to happen for me. And when she came to me, she overanalyzed everything. And it was really stripping her of her confidence, which put her into a pleaser mode. So she wasn't sure if she was saying the right thing or wearing the right thing or acting the right way. And so obviously that's a lot of future tripper energy. But again, that played into her confidence and then wanting to please, which is the pleaser energy. And so then she just wondered, well, maybe love just isn't meant for me. I'm just meant to be single. Poor me energy. And so once we were able to clear these energies and understand where these blocks came from her childhood, but also certainly her previous relationships and marriages, she was able to meet a wonderful man, and they have been together for over 3 years. And this is actually the second person that she met on Match. So I really do believe, and I want to emphasize that, look, everyone's on their own timeline. However, I do believe that this doesn't have to take as long as you think it does. You might feel like a relationship and love is just so far from you in your life, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think that if you really dive into doing this deeper work that I'm teaching you in this workshop, you know, obviously there's divine timing and no one has control over that, including myself, but I still firmly believe that it doesn't have to take a long time. And I've seen that over and over again, including with my client, Sherry. Okay, moving on to shift number 3, and that is also my secret weapon, your feminine essence. So here's the thing. Many of you watching this are headed towards burnout and jadedness in your love life. And maybe you feel like you're already there now. This means you're going to reach a point where you believe you'll just have to settle or stay single, or that you'll have to choose between love and career. But here's the thing. You don't have to throw away your career, life, or desire for real love to see change in your life. There is another way. But right now, let's talk about the old way, because it's the way that you're probably living in right now. And it's the way, honestly, that a lot of our society still lives in. So we live in old feminine masculine dichotomies as if they were absolute truth. So in a patriarchal society, and yes, we still very much have a patriarchal society despite advancements of women. And in a patriarchal society, the deranged masculine is controlling, dominant, ignores the body, disregards feelings, and wants to reach success at all costs. And also in a patriarchal society, the deranged feminine is weak, passive, feels inferior, overgives, pleases, and is meant to be palatable to a man. And so maybe in this old way, you've been told before that you're too much, or you're too masculine, or you're too intimidating to a man. And so you've tried to play by some of these patriarchal rules, but the thing is you're not naturally girly, or being feminine feels weak or passive, or you're simply just going against your feminist values of being a successful, independent woman. And so the reasons why this might be soul crushing should be fairly obvious, but here are 3 common things that I see from women who are playing into this old way. You might attract great partners and you feel like I should like them, but you just don't feel a connection. Or you attract partners who are more in their deranged feminine and you end up taking care of them emotionally or financially. Or you attract partners who are controlling, abusive, manipulative, avoids emotion, or just simply wants you to please them. And so to try to quote unquote solve this, you try to become more feminine, yet it doesn't feel natural and goes against who you are, because in fact, you are a strong, smart, successful, and ambitious woman, and you are not willing to give that up for love. And you don't want to throw all of that away or downplay it so you can be more palatable. You'd simply rather just stay single. And to be honest, I don't blame you. So let's sum it up. Here is the old way: sacrificing yourself for who you are in your relationship, feeling unfulfilled in your work, ignoring your body, making decisions in love from your head instead of your intuition, feeling disconnected from your passions, numbing on wine, Netflix, or social media, dreading dating, and hoping one day everything will change or someone will come rescue you from your life. The question is then, can you really find love like this? And as you've been listening to me, you're probably thinking, no way, it's really hard to find love like that, right? And I totally agree. You can't find love like this. So the question is, why is everyone living this way? Because everyone tells you this is what it takes to find love. And if you don't believe me, just watch any rom-com with Matthew McConaughey, or just watch any sitcom on dating or relationships or love, unless it's one of those quote unquote woke shows, or watch any Disney princess movie. It all plays out this old, deranged, feminine and masculine dynamic. And to be honest, there's a part of you that believes in this old way as well. You feel behind in your life if you're not partnered up, or something's missing, or you're not whole or complete. And you want something to change, but you'd be lying if you said you've never hoped that someone will just come in and save you from your life. Because then you can buy the house, take the trip, quit your job, get a dog, or just be happy. So the truth is, you're also kind of playing into the patriarchal, deranged, feminine, and masculine ways. So here's the new way. The new way involves balancing the healthy expression of feminine and masculine. One is not better than the other, and one is not worse than the other. The old way didn't work because the masculine was toxic, abusive, and wasn't inclusive of the healthy feminine. And the new way is about finding balance of healthy masculine and feminine energy in your own life and in your relationship. And I just want to pause to say that every person, whether they are a male or female, gay or straight, needs to have some balance of healthy masculine and feminine energy in their life so they're not overworking or feel drained or exhausted or anything like that. And the good news for everyone is that the world is changing and the old way of the feminine masculine aren't working anymore. And I do believe there is a space in dating for the new feminine and masculine energy, because we need women in the world who believe that being a woman doesn't mean being weak or passive to get a man, nor is it simply being a prettier version of a man. Embracing the feminine allows you to stand firmly in who you are, lead with your heart, and be the fullest expression of you in your work and in your love life. And you can learn to use the healthy expression of masculine energy like structure, boundaries, getting shit done, and use the healthy qualities of feminine like empathy, intuition, vulnerability, self-expression, creativity, and compassion. And that can create magic in your own life, but then definitely in your love life. So don't take my word for it. This is how important feminine energy is in relationships. A study from the National Opinion Research Center at the University of Chicago found only 57% of women said their marriage was happy. Just about half of women. And here's what they said. There's male privilege in relationships and that men can be oblivious to the dynamics of relationships, while women have to be the domestic managers, and this cycle breeds resentment and leads to de-eroticizing your partner. After a time, you no longer see your partner as an exciting, enticing, mesmerizing creature. So what this means is when I help my clients to harness a new way of being in the world and being in relationship, they don't feel burnt out, resentful, or jaded because they're entering in a relationship that feels mutually energizing. They have more work-life balance and are living a life in alignment with their passions and who they deeply are. And so I believe that when you look at this study and how almost half of women aren't happy in relationships, it's because we're playing into that old deranged feminine masculine dynamic. And I believe this one idea, this one secret weapon that I call it, can transform everything in your life, your relationships, your career, your community, friendships. And I believe it's the secret to living a life that you love. So I want to tell you Kaylee's story. So Kaylee is a client and she works as a police officer, which is a pretty masculine environment. So if you're listening to this thinking, well, Veronica, I have to be my masculine because of the type of work environment that I'm in, listen up. So she had to learn how to soften and tune into her emotions. And actually, it's helped her not only on the job, but it definitely helped her in her love life. She released control of what she thought she needed and wanted. And she got clear on how she wanted to feel. And she was really able to actually feel that in her body and let that place, her intuition, lead her in her dating life. And she learned from there to trust herself, trust the universe, and she actually met her husband while we worked together. So there really is no reason why you can't bring some more feminine qualities, to your work life for sure, but also unlearn some of the masculine qualities so you find more balance, so you feel more peace, more calm in your life, and that's going to help you attract your perfect for you partner. So let's move on to shift number 4. And shift number 4 is stop edutaining, moving beyond talk therapy and reading all the self-help books. So here's the definition. To edutain is a verb and it means to consume lots of knowledge, content, and ideas, but not implement and integrate the new habits, actions, and beliefs into your life. So edutaining can look something like listening to tons and tons of podcasts on dating and relationships and self-help and spirituality and all of those things. You love them, you love listening to them, but do you actually ever do anything different from listening to them? Maybe you purchased some home study programs that you never opened, or maybe you listened to some of the videos but didn't finish it, or didn't do the worksheets, or didn't really implement what they were teaching you in your life. And then, of course, books, and more books. Have you read more self-help books than you care to admit? The truth is that when you begin to read too many self-help books, the fountain of knowledge can quickly turn into trying to take a sip of water from a fire hydrant. So here's the thing, I'm not trying to knock every single book or every single podcast you've consumed because knowledge isn't bad. I love to learn. I love to learn about personal growth. I love to learn about spirituality. I love to learn about our world and the way things work. There's nothing wrong with learning. It's the first step to change in your life, but it's the first step. It's not the only step. And look, you got to where you are in your career and life because you're smart and you easily absorb knowledge and you probably love to learn too. But at some point, especially in your love life, because it relates so much to how you feel and your emotions and your intuition. You have to stop thinking and intellectualizing about your love life and instead actually do the deeper work so we can change those roots that we talked about earlier in this workshop. Because if you don't, you're going to continue to absorb more and more knowledge until you feel overwhelmed or just think it's all crap. Or you'll try to implement some of it, but it doesn't work. And so then you tell yourself, well, this doesn't work. It's just not for me. And I'm just not meant for love. Or maybe you'll just put off your happiness and love, believing, well, one day it'll just happen and you shouldn't need help with this kind of stuff anyways. So here's how to actually change your life. Whenever I'm working with a client, I'm looking at 4 areas for growth. I'm looking at the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual. So the physical includes things around what you actually text to someone, what you say, how you eat, your routine, how you dress, your dating profile, all of the things that we think about when we think about quote unquote fixing our love life. And the mental includes work around positive affirmations, talk therapy, mantras, positive self-talk, motivation, things like that. Now, the emotional work includes inner child work, actually feeling your feelings, self-compassion, doing EFT, or maybe you've heard of tapping, connecting with your body, practicing forgiveness. And the spiritual refers to prayer, meditation, your relationship to God, universe, divine, your trust or faith, and practicing non-attachment. So most diets, self-help books, and Western-based therapy focus on the physical and mental realms. And the problem with that is you're relying on willpower. And here's the real problem with that. Willpower lives in the 12% of your brain that is your conscious brain. But 88% of the things that you say or do or believe or your habits, that comes from the unconscious brain. That's 88%. That's a lot. And so in order to begin to change the unconscious part of your brain that controls the thoughts, beliefs, actions, habits that you have to heal the experiences and shift the core wounds that created those deep beliefs in the first place. That is the only way to sustainable change. If we could change our entire lives just from the physical and mental realms, then we'd all have our dream jobs. We'd all be making the money that we want to make, and we'd all be a size 2 or whatever your dream weight is. Remember this graphic? By only focusing on the physical and mental realms of transformation, it's kind of like taking this apple tree and trying to make it an orange tree without actually planting new orange tree seeds. It's like just picking off the apple and then trying to replace the apple with an orange. That seems crazy, right? Like, of course, that's not going to make an apple tree into an orange tree. And yet we do that with our beliefs and our habits and actions. We just think that we can willpower our way, to see a red flag, or willpower our way into dating a certain kind of person who might actually be able to give you what you need. So in order to actually change the roots, you have to do the emotional and spiritual work. So I want to tell you about my client, Sarah. So Sarah is a successful entrepreneur, an active volunteer in her community, and had a great group of friends. And yet she struggled deeply in her love life. She was attracting men she wasn't interested in, or who ultimately just weren't ready for a commitment, even though, of course, they said they were at the beginning. And again, she's smart. She loves to learn. She loves to read. And so when she came to me, she had read so many dating advice books, but most of them, after she read them, kind of tried to implement them, they just kind of left her feeling jaded and actually beginning to kind of dislike men. And she had just focused a lot on the physical and mental realms. And by the way, this is totally common. One, because it's what's used mostly in our society, but also it feels a little bit less scary. It feels a lot less scary to go and update your profile for the 20th time than it is to actually talk about something that was painful that happened in your childhood or in a previous relationship. Even though that thing is causing a block, you just kind of want to fix the profile instead because that just seems a little bit easier. And so when we worked together, we were able to spend a lot of time in the emotional, spiritual realm, even though she was kind of like, I don't know, Veronica, this sounds a little bit wacky. I don't know if this is for me. I might be a little bit too left brain for this. But we did it anyways. And we dug deep into her childhood, and especially how being bullied by some girls in her school created a protective shield that she never put down. And once she was able to put that shield down, she was able to attract such higher quality partners. And she was able to really connect with someone to attract emotionally available partners, but also just to see if there really was that connection. And she just felt so much less jaded and content with herself and happy in the dating process. The fifth shift is invest in mentorship and accountability. So here's the thing. We all need mentors. And Bill Gates actually once said, everyone needs a coach. We all need people who give us feedback. That's just how we improve. With no feedback or coaching, there's just no way to improve. And so my question is, what do Oprah, Michael Phelps, Beyonce, Richard Branson, and soon you have in common? And that is they all have mentorship. They all have coaches that they work with to help them in their life. I really believe that every person that you admire who has great relationships and a fulfilling career probably have support, accountability, and new ideas coming in the background. And I believe that definitely to be true when it comes to people like Michelle Obama or Oprah. But I also think even just those people on Instagram that really inspire you, or big bloggers or authors, they probably also have support, accountability, and new ideas coming at them to help them achieve what it is they want to achieve in their life. The other option is obviously to go it alone, but trying to figure this out all by yourself, it comes with baggage. And the two big pieces of baggage are it actually costs more time and ultimately more money in the long run by trying to figure it out alone. And the things that tend to keep you stuck from getting a coach, getting a mentor can be things around fear of change, fear of happiness, even loss of identity, a money story that holds you back, or a belief that you should be able to figure this out on your own. Or maybe facing difficult emotion just scares the crap out of you and you'd rather not. Or maybe you have a deep-rooted belief around this just isn't going to work for you. But here's the thing. Let's say you want to get in better shape, and so you decide that you're going to download an app that costs like $2 a month or whatever it is, and you are going to work out 5 days a week, and you're going to have super sweaty, heart-pumping workouts so that you can get in the best shape of your life. How likely do you think that's going to happen by simply having an app on your phone? Now, let's up the ante a little bit, and let's say you sign up for a gym membership, and this gym membership maybe costs $100 a month. And so you've got a little bit more riding on a gym membership, but there's still not that level of accountability there. And you might be more likely, or you probably will be more likely to reach your goals than simply working out on your own with a free app or a $2 a month app or whatever it is. But what if you actually hired a personal trainer and you had accountability? And if you didn't show up for your training session, not only would you be standing someone up, but you would also probably be out $150 or however much personal trainers are these days. So when it comes to shifting your love life, it really is no different. You can read books, or you can sign up for a passive e-course, or you can work with someone who can provide you that accountability, that support, and those new ideas for your life so that you can really change your love life from the inside out. No matter what, I don't want you to do this alone. Look, transforming your love life is definitely not rocket science, but it does require some support, some accountability, and some new ideas so that you can change your love life from the inside out. And like I said, it definitely costs you time and more wasted relationships the longer and longer you put this off. And ultimately, I think there's reason to believe that it costs you more money. How much money do you waste on takeout when you're feeling like crap, or retail therapy, or helping men in their deranged feminine who need your financial support. Don't do this alone. You don't have to. So today you learned a step-by-step game plan to finally get unstuck in love and end the cycle of dead-end relationships. You learned the number one reason most highly successful, motivated, and ambitious women struggle in love and what you can do to make sure it doesn't happen to you. And you learn how to figure out the real reason you're attracting partners who aren't emotionally available, who are toxic, or just simply not on your emotional or intellectual level. And you learn the 4 main dating blocks that will set you up for frustration, resentment, and hopelessness in your love life. You learn how to tap into the inner confidence you feel in your career and carry that over into your love life. And you learn that you can do this in record time. You don't have to spend years and years in therapy, or you don't have to read every How to Get a Guy book in the self-help aisle. So now you are faced with the choice. Like I said, you have the power right now to choose to continue going it alone, hoping and praying that something just radically will change, or trying to heal your own core wounds on your own, or you can enlist me to help you. So I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply these 5 shifts to your love life and life starting today. And whatever your biggest challenges are, I've seen it and I know how to help you overcome it. So please don't fall into the all too common trap of, well, you just haven't experienced what I've experienced, Veronica, or you haven't seen this. Wait until you hear my love life or my story. Nope. Trust me, I've seen it all. And even if I haven't seen your specific situation, I've seen something as quote unquote crazy as you think yours is. So during your introductory coaching call with me, I'm going to get a clearer picture of where you've been, where you are, and then how I can help you get unstuck in your love life. Now, here's the thing. This introductory coaching call is not for everyone, but it is for you if you know deep down that you are the biggest obstacle in your own way to love. You know your people pleasing or settling for crap or your perfectionism is holding you back, and you're willing to take new decisive action. This is also for you if you are 100% committed to your success and your future, and you're willing to play big and stop playing small. And you aren't also dealing with any major clinical challenges and aren't currently in a dangerous situation in your relationship. And you must be highly committed to your growth and believe you can do anything with the right mentor and the right plan. And you must be open to moving past your fear and break out of your comfort zone. So here's why I do this. I believe I was put here on this earth for this reason. It is my personal mission to help as many women as possible find real love and purpose in their life. I've helped hundreds of women in the course of my career, and I know you might want my help to take the next steps in your love life and your life. And on this call, we're going to discuss all of that and see if it's a good fit for both of us to work together. And if not, that's totally fine too. So to sign up for your introductory coaching call, head over to veronicagrant.com/apply. Now, spaces are extremely limited, so please don't delay. You can click the link below this video and grab your spot now. So again, in this introductory coaching call, we're going to talk about where you are now, and we'll get really clear on what isn't working in your love life. And then we're going to come up with a personalized game plan. I'm going to tell you the 3 biggest things that I think that need to happen in your life in order to see the change in your love life that you seek. And then finally, if it's a good fit, we'll discuss what working together would look like. No matter what happens, this will be the best hour you've spent in a long time, and you will have new clarity in your love life and with action steps to take forward. So again, the link to set up an introductory coaching call with me is veronicagrant.com/apply. Spots are limited. So again, just click the button below this video and we will talk very soon. Thank you so much for joining me, and bye for now.